think this is really important that teachers and students have a place where they can go outside and learn about the native plants and the native animals. They don't have to have money to go on a field trip. They can just walk outside their classroom and have an outdoor classroom. So with this idea, we decided that we definitely needed this, and we received a grant from Project Learning Tree, a Greenworks grant. So in 2005, we started with a couple phases. So this is our first phase. So we had a songbird garden here. We have a little hummingbird garden here, a pond, and we encourage schools to put a pond on their site. We feel like it's really part of having a habitat. You need to have a water feature in order to have a complete habitat if you want to see plants or animals particularly come to your habitat. So then we have also a pizza garden here, which is basically a garden that the kids work in and you can grow herbs for your pizza. It's basically a vegetable garden, but we call it a pizza garden. In 2012, we were fortunate enough to work with the Texas AgriLife Extension Service, and they helped us install a rain garden on our property. We have a cistern that's actually just like the cistern located outside this door over here. And then we decided we needed a bigger butterfly garden, so in March we got together and located a little bit more space for ourselves and put in another butterfly garden. This is a photo of some of our volunteers, but you can see some of the grasses that we have out there. We try to have all the native grasses to us. So we have big blue stem, little blue stem, Indian grass, switchgrass, gamma grass. This is just, again, a photo of the original butterfly garden. And like I said, it changes all the time. For a while, it was a monoculture of obedient plant, which is really beautiful. But we have a lot of black-eyed Susan or brown-eyed Susan in there. And we also have some Mexican milkweed as well. So this part was a little bit shady, but it's small. So we wanted a bigger area, but especially because of the decline of so many of the monarch butterflies. We wanted to make sure that we had enough food source for these animals. So we built a new one. So right here is our new butterfly garden. We actually got a grant from the Native Plant Society for part of this butterfly garden, so we're very thankful for that. We have a lot of partners who help us with these projects, so it's something that we're a nonprofit organization, something that we can't really do on our own. We have a lot of volunteers. And again, we have our Hummingbird Garden, which is located right next to our picnic area. So it's really nice to be able to sit there and just watch the hummingbirds. So we don't have hummingbird feeders, we just put the plants in that attract the hummingbirds. And so it's much easier from my perspective, just keep the plants alive. And then we have the birds there in the spring and the fall and December as well, a bit. So how many of you are familiar with rain gardens? Lots of you. Exactly. It's meant to function like a mini wetland. So you can get a lot of benefits for having a rain garden. Hopefully everyone's got a rain garden this week. So if you have an area in your yard that does stay wet, what you can do is put some of these plants in there who like to have their feet wet, like to hang out in a rain garden, and it's very beautiful. Right here is our cistern. It's a 1,500-gallon cistern. It collects water from a quarter of our temporary building. Just again, some of the beautiful plants that we have in our rain garden. So who uses this space? We have several different groups who use the space. Clear Creek Independent School District is the district that's down there in Clear Lake near us. They have a program called the Alpha Program. It's for their gifted and talented students. And so they send a class of students in the fall and in the spring. And actually Sheila Brown teaches this class, and she works with these students to get them outside. How much time do kids spend indoors these days? Too much time. So every day that they're there on Fridays from about 9 to 1. And they're outside the majority of the time. They're dip netting, bird watching, they're working in the pizza garden, They're free labor. They like to pull weeds. We like to show them what the weeds look like. But it's a good experience, a great experience for them. Another program that we have is during the month of June, we have summer camps. So with the summer camps, we take the kids, again, here's actually a photo of our wetland that's on campus. It's a constructed wetland that EIH, along with other partners, put together. But we take the students fishing, geocaching, bird watching, hiking, lots of hiking. And it is hot, but they have all survived so far. So we also, so with the summer camps, we have kids come from actually first grade to ninth grade. So we do 3 different types of camps. We do a Discovery Nature camp for the younger students, a Citizen Science camp for the older students, grades like 3 through 5. And then we do a Hunger Games camp. How many of you guys have read the Hunger Games? And so it's a fun camp. Everyone loves it. They all go home in the end. Nobody decides at Hunger Games camp. But we do a lot of the fun activities with them. We talk about plants that they would need to survive in the wild, and we take them out fishing. They have to cook some of their own food and try to figure out how to eat cattails, which is very interesting. So. And for high school students, we have a program called the Texas Marathon. Anyone heard of the Texas Marathon? Yes, 2 people, all right. Well, the Texas Marathon is a statewide competition for students in grades 9 through 12. So if you know students that age group, you could get them involved in the Texas Marathon. The students study soils, forestry, wildlife, aquatics, and the current issue. This year's current issue was invasive species. But this is a program that has grown quite a bit over the last few years. We had 120 students participate. It was actually 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was April 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. So we had a team actually win from the Valley this year, which is the first time that they've won the state competition. And they will go on to represent Texas at the national competition in Peterborough, Canada. So we're excited for them. And teachers, we have a lot. One of the main reasons that we built this habitat was to show teachers what they could do outdoors with their students. And Sheila's going to talk a lot more about that. But it's also a great place for them to come and see what they could put on their campus. We encourage them to start small because it can, if you plant too many plants, you have to maintain them. We have community members also who come to us. We were fortunate enough to get a grant for rain barrels this year, so we've probably given out a couple hundred rain barrels since October, and hopefully they're all out collecting rain. It would have been a good time to have those out as opposed to in the garage, so hopefully they did all put them out. And we have a great group of volunteers. I don't know if any of you are in the Clear Lake area and would like to come over and see us sometime and volunteer, but we have a wonderful group of master naturalists and master gardeners who come and dedicate their time on Tuesday mornings from 9 to 11 to help us keep things under control. We have some native plants and we have some non-native plants in our gardens, but the plants that work well for us, the Plains Coreopsis, which we have up here, is blooming right now in our garden. Texas Star Hibiscus is absolutely gorgeous flower. The hummingbirds really like it. It's bright and beautiful when you come in the summer. It's like, hello, where did you come from? You're so nice. Mexican hat and black-eyed Susans, which you've probably heard about tonight. And some of the plants, these are also native plants, but we go and purchase these plants. Some of the other plants we can get from our master naturalist volunteer who grows those for us, but like the Texas lantana and the passion vine, we typically go and purchase those from our local store. Is called Ma's Nursery. It's down in the Seabrook area, but that's where we get most of our native plants from. Or we go up to Tree Search Farms. Purple coneflower and Turk's caps. With our Hunger Games camp. One of the plants, has anyone ever eaten Turk's cap flowers? Yes. All right, so we talk about that. We do that with our Hunger Games kids. Supposedly the blooms are sweetest between 10 o'clock in the morning and 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. We haven't tested that to see for sure, but that's supposedly the case. And then again, just some of the grasses that we have in our pollinator garden. It's difficult for us to have a true prairie because I've tried really hard to be able to burn the prairie, but it's like, no, we will never ever give you a fire permit to do that. You're too close to that temporary building. So it's difficult to mimic the things that would have normally taken place in the prairie. We don't have a bison, we don't have any fire, and so we have to get in there and cut things out, but we keep trying, and hopefully, you know, it does look good right now. Actually, we've got most of the basic grass out, but it is a constant battle to try to keep it looking nice when you can't, you know, trying to mimic nature. Nature knows what it's doing, and if we had the ability to have fire or bison in it, we'd probably have a much nicer prairie. So we do want to have lots of pollinators in our habitat. That's why we have a big variety of plants. We've got the natives and the non-natives. We think it's really important to have these spaces available so that the animals do have things to eat and places to hide. Next slide. These are just some of our pollinators that have been photographed in our garden, and we're, I guess we love going out there, so next slide. We also are concerned about bee populations. You know, I tell people that we really like bees, and they are like, oh my, no, I don't like bees. Bees sting me. No, not really. Most of the solitary bees, there are about 400 species, or 700 species that are native to Texas. And a lot of those were solitary bees, and typically they're not aggressive, they're not going to sting people. So we want to encourage bees in our garden, and we put in a bee box right here. Does anyone else put in a bee box in their habitat? I've done it all.
I would avoid putting it at the edge of the woods though, because there's a pseudo-Murmax ant that will take it over.
Yes, we had that happen to one of them. We have two of them, but this one actually has the leafcutter bees were going in there and carrying the little leaves, and they've sealed up the bamboo. So we haven't seen them come out, any adults come out yet, but we're hopeful. We are also a monarch way station, certified monarch way station habitat. So that just basically means that we have everything needed for the monarch butterflies to hang out. And we have a volunteer from our master naturalist group who comes out and tags monarchs. So if anybody's interested in learning how to do that, he's there often on Tuesdays, and we can set it up so that you could come in and get with Vic, and I'm sure he loves to talk about monarch butterflies, so he'd be happy to show you how to do this. And just again, because of our location, and I think because of our habitat, we have a really nice variety of wildlife that we're able to see when we go to work today. It's probably similar to coming to work here at the Houston Arboretum. So this is just some of the animals that we see on campus on a regular basis. So that is all I have. If you guys have any questions.